What we'll be covering in this video is how to create a menu, followed by an additional tutorial of how to hyperlink those pages to one another, which will allow you to create interchangeable links between one page to the other. First thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to set the structure for that in the HTML. We're going to apply the links into the header, and we're going to complement the logo here by having the links on the opposite side of the page, just to create a nice balance between the two. Looking at our code here, we can see we have our header, we have our logo container. Underneath that commented section, we're just going to create some space, and let's just, for housekeeping purposes, give ourselves an indicator of what we're working with. This is the menu container. And again, holding control and backslash, we can comment that out. And working underneath there, what we're going to do is create another div element. So div, and we'll give it a class dot menu. Go ahead and press tab, build that out, and then just press enter, enter, so we have some space in between there. For indentation purposes, although this makes no difference really in the end rendering, it's just a little easier to read for yourself. Press tab so you're indented. And we are going to create, let's do 4 links. So links inside of HTML can really be any element, but it does require a little bit of coding in order for that to work. So we're going to be working with specific tags used for the purposes of linking. And what they are called is just active tags. So what we're going to do is apply a class to 4 of them at once. So we want to call these, let's just call them links. We'll give them a class of link. But we want to have 4. If you've ever used the calculator app on your computer, you know the multiplication sign is star and 4. So we want 4 links, and all we have to do is press tab. And now you can see here we have 4 A tags, and the href again is asking where you want this to be linked, which we'll create in a later video. A class assigned to it, and then in between the brackets is where we can put some text. So I'm just going to put some dummy text here. First one being just link 1, 2, 3, 4. And link 4. So now you can see we have the 4 links here. They're not placed where we want, so and you can also verify that by again previewing in Google Chrome. Save changes, and you can see that they're below here, not really placed where we want, and that's because by default these objects are going to be placed below each other, almost, or what you call displaying block. Just again to give yourself some indication of where everything is, I'm going to put end of menu container here. So if you were ever to use this file and you wanted to keep track of where everything is, you can see that. And what we're going to do is apply some rules to this menu class to move these links to the right side of the page. Going to our CSS here, we are going to assign a class rule for menu. So dot menu. And of course our curly brackets to hold the rule within that. And we want to position these links to the right and top of this page. We're going to work with the position property for this specific class. So go ahead and just type in position. And there's a few rules you can do with here. Absolute being that it is not bound by any of the objects that it's contained in. Fixed, which allows this image to always maintain in the exact same spot even with scroll. Inherit just being a receive the rule from the parent object. Relative, meaning it can move anywhere within inside of the parent object, meaning that the menu div can move anywhere on the page inside of the header. And then sticky and static, which we're not really going to be covering. So for what we need here, we want to be able to position this in an absolute manner, meaning we're not going to follow the rules of any of the other containing tags, which makes it very easy for us to move it to the right and top, which are the exact rules we'll be using for this. So we want to do position right. So we have the position absolute. Now we're going to define the right space of this menu, and if we look up to where we have our image, you can see we have height of 70, and what it's using as well is the logo rule or header rule, padding left of 20 pixels. So if the padding left of 20 pixels is there and we want this to be about the same space on the right hand side, we want to go right 20 pixels to match the rule that we had for padding left over here. So we'll go ahead and press Control S, and now you can see that it is the same width on the right hand side that it is on the left hand side. But that doesn't solve what we have for the positioning on top. So in order to fix that, what we're going to do is just type in a top rule, and we can go ahead and just do, say, 25 pixels. Go ahead and save. Click on and off, and we have them below, as you can see. Now it's not quite perfect, so you can always play around with this. If we were to say do 0, save again, go back and forth, you now have one that's a little centered. But this, of course, is a height that you can, or pixel that you can play around with on that, and this really whatever works for you. But as you can see from here, you now have the image on the left, the links on the right, and when we go ahead and save everything, when you preview this, just go ahead and preview that file, real-time preview, again in Google Chrome. We have a nice link structure here, and although we haven't coded it to be responsive just yet, you can see that when we make things smaller, the links and the logo will maintain where they are. And in later lessons, we'll show how to make this entire page mobily responsive. In the following video, what we'll be covering is how to apply linkages to all of these pages.